Tuesdays with Tawana. This is episode 150 in the building. I am so excited. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. Excited. Yes, welcome to Tuesdays with Tawana. Our podcast, weekly podcast that centers Black beloveds and Black experiences as we build community one womanist episode at a time. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for this 30 minutes together where we chop it up, where I insert your voice into this narrative. If you pop something in the chat, it will be popped into this episode. If you are listening later on Facebook Live, on Instagram, on all of your various podcast platforms, on YouTube, feel free to listen, engage while you're driving, while you're cooking, or just sitting and relaxing and you need 30 minutes of some truth, some laughter, some tears, some joy, everything, all of that. Y'all, thank you, Reverend. My friend is on the line from Bahrain. Yes, we made it 150 episodes. Also, as we delve into our theme today, Most Wanted, I do want to acknowledge and honor FeedSpot. I mentioned this on a couple of other episodes, but FeedSpot featured Tuesdays with Tawana as one of the top 70 breast cancer awareness podcasts across the country, and I landed at number 17. And I say that not for my self-aggrandizement, but because I am because you are, and because you create this sacred space for me to share my story, to share my journey, to share my ups and downs and highs and lows and everything in between. An opportunity to thank my community and my village for being just so amazing. Just being so amazing. Sending meals, sending money, sending texts and prayers and phone calls, even now that we are 7.5 years in of this healing journey. 7.5 years. I am part of the 59% who survive, of Black women who survive breast cancer, but then that means 41% of us are dying disproportionately as it compares to white women. So we gotta make that change, and a part of this vodcast, is about bringing awareness. One thing about awareness months, we have a government and we have leaders right now that are really, I'm really gonna try not to curse on this episode, y'all. I'm gonna behave. We have politicians that really don't have our best interests at heart, and they don't understand or don't want to understand the fact that we have awareness months, we have DEI, we have voting rights, we have or had reproductive justice rights because these things were not automatic. These things were not happening. Equity is not happening. Justice is not happening. An egalitarian system is not happening. A just system is not happening. And we need these things in order to insert and impart some humanity into this dehumanizing system. So, Black History Month exists because we are not in the mainstream media. Women's History Month exists because only a certain type of women is in the mainstream media. We have Autism Awareness Month because many of our black and brown beloveds are diagnosed or on the spectrum of autism disproportionately to white people. So, hey Jules, yes, Jules, we've been rocking together 7.5 years. So with Soul to Soul Sisters, it'll be 8 years for survival for me in November, and Soul to Soul Sisters will turn 9 this year. And Facing Racism was one of our first signature programs, and so those first few cohorts I've been in touch with many people and consider many of them my beloved friends because we check in on each other, have sidebar conversations, we meet here. So I'm grateful that Jules is one of those beloveds that I hold near and dear to my heart. Hey, my fam is in the building. What's up? Good to see you, the lovely Joy, the lovely. Hey brother, always good to see you. Always grateful um, for your support. So, yeah, so Feedspot, featured me as one of the top featured Tuesdays with Tawana, excuse me, because it's a community thing, as one of the top breast cancer podcasts. So, what I want to do today is I'm going to weave breast cancer survival throughout the various topics that we'll hit during our time together on today, using the theme or the focus most wanted. And inspired, of course, by, I still call her Hannah Montana, but she's Miley Cirus and Beyoncé. Who knew that I needed, first of all, Cowboy Carter, the album, in my life? Who knew? And To Most Wanted is definitely one of the cuts in heavy rotation. I can't, I don't know the lyrics without singing it, and I'm gonna spare y'all the singing right now. Oh, my voice is muffled on your end? Hold on, I'm gonna change that. Let me know, hold on.
Let me know if that's better. Let me know if that's better. Let me know if that's better. Can everyone hear me okay? It's so important to make sure we have our audio on point. Um, Let me know. Let me know. Okay. Thank you, Larry. All right. It's better. Devin, are you good? Let me know you good. Let me know you good. Let me know you good. Um, So thank you, Jules. All right. So sorry about that. Thank you, family. Yeah, this is what we do. This is why I'm so grateful to community for this podcast and for being the 17th top breast cancer podcast. Um, according to FeedSpot in the nation. I'm going to keep saying that because this is about us. So this episode was inspired by two most wanted, um Beyoncé and Miley Cyrus, and um I love I'll be your shotgun rider till the day I die. Smoke out the window flying down the 405. Yeah, I'll be your backseat baby, driving you crazy anytime you like. I'll be your shotgun rider till the day I die. And although the song's context is definitely a little different than what the context of this Most Wanted is all about, um, it just shows that, we need shotgun riders in our lives. And it might not be the best analogy because I know, we're dealing with the atrocities with the NRA, we're dealing with war crimes, we're dealing with genocide. Um, And we also have sayings in our culture, our slang, our, creative acumen, like ride or die. I really don't want you to ride or die, literally. I want you to stay with me till the end. So there are times when we have these colloquialisms that they worked for when they worked, and now that society and this nation is going crazy, some people are very sensitive, and they should be very sensitive. So let me just use that disclaimer that I do not support gun violence. I do not support the NRA. I do not support war. I do not support genocide. I do not support war crimes. I am visibly always wearing something to make a statement, to show my support for the liberation, not only of Black beloveds, but the liberation of all. So, what is most wanted for me? For this episode, I want to begin with just a quick reflection on my breast cancer journey, my 7.5 year journey, where back on November 6th, I was told that I had breast cancer. It was a shock, like it was felt around the world. That's how powerful that shock was. Oh, and the word, now I'm paying attention to my language, like the shock of the earthquake that happened the other day, starting in New Jersey, but New York and other states felt it as well. So no triggers there. I know that was quite scary for some people who felt it. Um, and November 6th was a scary moment for me. And one day I was telling my story. I went out to California to speak to a group from a pharmaceutical company, the scientists, the technicians, those who keep the areas sanitized and clean, janitorial services. And I told my story, and in my reflection, I realized that, it took me a long time to really have like this cathartic cry. I don't know if that was because I was in shock, or if it was because, yeah, maybe I was just in shock. Like, that's just not good news to hear, on any level. Whether it's early detection, or whether it's late stage, and everything in between. It's a scary moment. So I what I most wanted was to be healed. And then I began to realize, well, what is my definition? What is my definition of healing or being healed? And I had to dig a little deeper, because there is some twisted theology that I was holding on to. There was some there conversations weren't happening at the level that I needed them to happen, the depth that I needed them to happen. Healing was like cancer free. That was the only way to experience healing, or someone found healing on the other side because they succumbed to the challenges of their cancer diagnosis, and there was no in between. So I had to like learn and grow and begin to own my agency and my voice to say what healing looked like for me, and to share my story so that other people had the courage, the bravery, the agency, the information, the advocacy, and the will to redefine what healing looked like in their lives. Um, so I think I was doing, not I think, I was doing a lot of thinking and a lot of reflecting and a lot of it was a lot of moving parts, and not enough for me to sit still. When I was first diagnosed, it was like, get your port in, and then got my port in, then had my first treatment and heard all of the horrific side effects, and you're, anxious about what side effect is going to show up first. And then I had a DVT, which is a blood clot due to the port. And so I've been on blood thinners for 7.5 years. And then I just kept going and going. I kept seeking support and going to all these different doctor's appointments and having treatment and being tired the first week. And then the second week, I start to rebound. The third week, I feel better. And then week number one started all over again. So in that moment, what was most wanted was information. What was most wanted was being affirmed. What was most wanted was being loved and loved well. What was most wanted for me was to live and not die at the hands of breast cancer. What was most wanted for me was my children and my siblings and my family and extended family to be okay and not worry about me, and to take that energy and translate it into this healing energy, this loving energy, this strengthening energy that I needed to fight this ill. That was most wanted. And then being a preacher and an activist and being in the public in Denver and beyond at the time, what was most wanted from me? Um, you know, in general, people were used to me being present, or I'm preaching, or I'm teaching, or I am hanging out, or I'm engaging, I'm planning, I'm having fun, I'm with the young people, we're going to water parks. So once the diagnosis happened, that changed. And I don't think I ever had an opportunity to then redefine how I can teach people how to engage and want something from me that I could no longer give, and being okay with that, being outside of uh uh putting other people's needs in front of my own needs. That wasn't going to work. So I didn't have that opportunity. So along with that, what was most wanted for me, but what was most wanted from me by others, we didn't have that agreement, that conversation. So, you end up losing some beloveds along the way. Dynamics of relationships begin to change, they begin to shift. Some heighten, some fall apart. So you're not only grieving the loss of good health, because I was never hospitalized, never broke a bone, never was sick to the point where I was, hospitalized or needed surgery. The only time I was in the hospital was when I gave birth to my two children naturally, no drugs. That was the only time that I experienced being in the hospital myself. So to now have this place and space where I'm now that's my life, like my second job. So I had to redefine what I most wanted, and then I upon reflection, missed an opportunity to have a conversation in community, include especially with family, with how what they wanted had to shift, and we didn't have that conversation. Um, the same, like with my children, having that conversation. My daughter was my caregiver, left the East Coast, left her job, relocated to Denver. Dr. Rosemary Allen, thank you, God, held space and gave her a job that was flexible enough for my daughter to come with me to my doctor's appointments. And because I needed someone, what was most wanted for me was someone to be there to affirm me, to ask the questions that I couldn't ask, um to just journey with me. Because it was like the Charlie Brown teacher talking when they would tell me about all the medicines and all the side effects. And so so now, that was most wanted, right? Just someone to be there with me, to advocate for me, with me, to support me, to speak life, to pray, to make sure the energy was good in the room. So now it brings us to today, 150 episodes later. I started this podcast well after my diagnosis, because this is season 4, meaning it's year 4. We're in 150 episodes. And I started this episode during a time when we were protesting a basketball game that community members wanted to put together with cops versus young people. And we protested that because we felt that it sent a very confusing message to have young people playing with police on the basketball court, but not understanding or having the frontal cortex development to say, oh, but when I'm in this situation, there's no playing. We were being killed at the time. We were being shot for coming from the store, buying Arizona and Skittles, playing in the park, playing in the backyard, playing in a Walmart. So there was no delineation. There was like, okay, you can play here, but you can't play here. So we protested that. And from that was born Tuesdays with Tawana, where I was able to have like the best of both worlds, where I could come and build community against the atrocities of this world, and build community about my journey with breast cancer. Because in my experience in the Black community, we often don't talk about it. We don't even say the word cancer. We say, I actually heard my nana say, I don't want nobody cutting on me. If something's wrong with me, let it be wrong with me, and I'm done. Like that, it is what it is. And so I was not taught that I had choices, that there were other choices out there for me, and not just decisions that are rooted in fear or in, you know, information that was passed down, that was true. It was scary for Black people to go to the doctor and to trust the medical system after the heinous history, from reproductive justice to the Tuskegee experiment to Henrietta Lacks to J. Marion Sims. I mean, the list goes on and on. How doctors don't believe, honor Black women's pain. They always, they have this ulterior assumption that says, do they really want painkillers, or do they just want drugs? Because all Black people struggle with drugs or addiction or whatever, just these poor assumptions that are being made. And then it causes pain and hurt for the person that is going to receive help, and they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, they don't feel honored. And that's where suffering comes in. Suffering is not inevitable, pain is inevitable. And suffering is the result of unscrutinized pain when we don't pay attention to it, or we're not treated for it. And that's why people then suffer living with cancer, or they're dying from it. I had to learn to change my language. The most wanted thing for me was to learn a new language that would speak life, that would speak hope, that would speak strength, that would speak healing and positive energy and self-care and self-love. And so I needed that in order for me to make it to this 7.5 years. This 150th episode, each episode brings a different flavor, a different idea, a different, invitation to converse about what's going on in the world, what's going on individually. Sometimes I come on and I share my story. I share the stories of others with their permission, or sometimes someone will pop something in the chat and it'll take us in a whole different direction, because that is what building community and dialogue is all about. It's about this curiosity about one another versus assumptions versus judgment. It is devoid of judgment when we come together in this space. You don't have to assume anything about me. All you have to do is ask, and I am going to tell you. And even if you don't ask, I tend to be very transparent when it comes to my health and my life experiences, because I want other people to co-create their own experiences and not be boxed in to dehumanizing, racist um, ills that cause people to die at the hands of these systemic ills. I This 150th episode is a testament to my healing and my growth. There are times when, if I look back at one of the first few episodes, I probably would be like, it's like that first sermon, for the preachers out there, that first sermon that you preach, you're like, ooh, whoo, I've grown. I've learned so much. I feel like that, like my episodes have evolved and morphed into this communal space where we are looking to get free. We are looking to ourselves for our liberation. We are defining ourselves for ourselves so that we are not crunched into other people's fantasies and eaten alive. So, with that, I am glad and grateful and honored and just overjoyed by the opportunity to have this moment of 150 episodes of Tuesdays with Tawana. Season number 4. That means I am living. And what's most wanted in this moment before we end is that I want for you the freedom to be, the audacity to be seen, the courage to be heard, and to insert your voice in narratives that often disregard us, ignore us, and silence us. What's most wanted for you, what I most want for you, is to be loved and to be loved well. Because that's what I want. I attribute this saying, loved well, to Doja Peju, who is not only the co-president of the board of Soul to Soul Sisters, but this beloved has been my mentor, my rock, my griot, my truth teller. And so when she dropped that saying in my lap, to be loved well, um, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Beloved is in the building today, my classmate, my songbird, my preaching powerhouse, my community warrior. Thank you for praying for me. My beloved teacher, Kurt, is in the building. He says, such an inspiration, my dear. I love you with everything. I love you too, Kurt. I would not be here without you and what East Harlem Performing Arts imparted in me. This is a result of how you incorporate the arts and culture and academics all together. This is the product for sure. Jules, it's an honor for you to share in this moment with me. So thank you. So thank y'all for hopping on. Oh my goodness. Summer is online. Hi, Summer. Oh my goodness, you just made my day. Um, Thank y'all. Y'all know we gonna keep rocking until the wheels fall off. y'all my ride or dies. I told y'all I don't want that. It's just a saying. It's just a saying. I love it. I always rep Harlem. So, some of my sayings is still tapping into my New York roots. So forgive me in advance. That's just how I do, how I be, how I show up. Um, so 150 episodes more. That's what I want. Um, and I am grateful for um, this moment of what's most wanted, and that's for us to be loved and to be loved well. I am Dr. Tad, your host and your curator for Tuesdays with Tawana, every Tuesdays, 2 o'clock, Facebook Live, and then on all your various podcast platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram. Yeah, this is how we're doing it. We're spreading love, and we're doing so in a revolutionary way, unapologetic way, and we are centering Black beloveds without apology. Love me or leave me alone. Most wanted, y'all. I'm out. Thank you for joining.